Coming up in this Brightline construction update. This update looks at the removal of the old Searchlight signals at the former Palm Bay siding and the Destressing process. We'll start at the former Palm Bay South near Hesse Avenue in Palm Bay. While signal crews were rigging up the final Searchlight signal, here's a look at the finished site where the former Palm Bay South number 20 turnout was removed the weekend prior. You can see its removal in the video linked to above. Crews had since gotten the west track connected and surfaced, and as of a few hours earlier this morning, this new western main here is now in service. With the western main line's activation, it meant the end had finally come for the old signaling system, as the new system was activated and the old signals could be removed. By the time I arrived, they had gotten 2 of the 3 Searchlight signals removed, and now it was the final signal's time to fall, which is happening now. Once everything was removed, it would be loaded on a truck and taken for scrap. We'll now head north to the other end of the former siding at Jernigan Avenue. We'll start here with a quick flight south toward University Boulevard. The tie gang is parked on the Hopkins team track on the right here. Signal crews were in the process of activating the new crossing protection here. A crew member was also on the cantilever intermediate signal, turning and aiming the new signal heads. The old Searchlight signals on the south end of the former turnout here had already been removed and hauled away. You can also now see the completed west main here that had been finished over the previous week. On the north side of the Jernigan Avenue crossing, you can see another signal crew preparing to remove the final Searchlight signal, as well as a Destressing crew on the west main. Here, the signal crew is removing an old signal cabinet that is no longer needed. As I mentioned earlier, on the west main, a Destressing crew was at work, Destressing is a process of thermally adjusting rail to help deal with expansion and contraction due to changes in temperature. In simple terms, a set length of rail has all of its fasteners loosened, then either the joint bars are moved or rail cut. The rail is then heated to a standard rail neutral temperature using either natural heat or rail heater, vibrated, and then the fasteners tighten back down. You can actually see the vibrator running on the track here. The final step is either electric flash butt welding the joint, like seen here, or thermite welding it. This process is the reason why track can have all the joints welded without leaving gaps for expansion and contraction. There's a lot more to the process, but this is the high-level explanation. Here, the Holland flash butt welding crew is placing the welding head on a joint. Electric flash butt welding is a process of using high currents of electricity to literally melt and fuse the ends of two pieces of rail together. It is just as effective as thermite welding, but takes a fraction of the time and doesn't require filler material. The downfall, though, is that it does actually consume rail, which is why many welds are still done with thermite welding. Regardless of the welding method used, this will be a joint-free railroad when service begins. Here is a weld actually being made with the push of a button. The weld is fully contained under the head, but you can see a few sparks underneath. Each weld is completed in a matter of seconds. Shifting back over to the Searchlight signal removal, and here it is being removed. This is the last of these signals to be removed as part of this project. With its removal, the only remaining Searchlight signals on the Florida East Coast Railway are in Jacksonville. Once lowered, the crews remove the valuable internal components so that they can be stored as spares or for parts for the FEC's remaining legacy signals north of Cocoa. And here it is, being loaded on a truck to be hauled away for scrap. Back with the Destressing crew, and they are preparing for another weld. In the bottom right, a crew member is in the process of grinding the weld I showed being made earlier. There are strict guidelines for how a weld needs to be grinded, and all welds are inspected by an independent outside firm to make sure they are safe and meet the necessary specifications. And here's that next weld being made. Now you may be wondering why this de-stressing work wasn't done when the rail was first attached to the ties. Every time the track is adjusted in some form, like being shifted, raised, or straightened, that causes the rail to expand or contract. That movement would render the de-stressing process useless. This is why it is the last step. This is also part of the reason why I haven't shown this process before, because simply put, being the final step, this crew is often working in a completely different location from whatever major work is being done at any time. This also isn't a one and done process. Even in the future, once construction is fully complete, anytime there is major maintenance that causes the tracks to move, this has to be redone. With the weld complete, here they are removing the head. To finish up, here's the signal truck heading away with the old equipment. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Also check out my social media pages.